So the teachers, they would go over some of the review books that for the different tests. They had their own teacher manuals for that stuff, and there were the student manuals for those who were taking the tests, like the SAT and the ACT, and they would help us study for the tests, depending on the students' varying needs for ways of studying. Sometimes that's in some classes the big focus of the class for at least part of the year is studying for the tests and focusing on learning the stuff for the tests, like the vocabulary or the math, stuff like that.
I want to be a college student, and I will continue to do my study carefully. Psychology. I want to make a business.
So every class is going to be driven by standards. These are almost solely now spelled out for us at a state level.
In Moscow, the examination, the tests are very important. There are many tests in the semester, at least two important tests, the middle and the final. The most important goal is to make the student get a higher score in the test, because there are competition between the classes and between the students and between the teachers. For the teachers, the secretary will look at the average score of the class which you teach. If the average score is lower than other classes, it's not very good. So the score test is very stressful for all the teachers and for the student. It is very important here.
As a teacher, my goal is primarily in helping my students to better develop speaking skills in the language. But I'm a bit of an unusual and supplemental teacher to their regular courses. I've noticed that most of the teachers here are teaching primarily toward a test. There's a major test, and I feel that much of the educational culture here is geared toward preparing for that. As a student, I felt that there was some emphasis on teaching us things that might be irrelevant to that test, but that might be more geared toward college entrance exams. I feel that this is in part because the two were not exactly 100% connected in America, whereas here in China, they are linked inextricably. That said, there was a lot of teaching to and for tests when I was a student in high school. It was very important to many teachers that we pass the WASL, although my particular grade was not mandatory. Generations after me, my younger brother, for instance, did have to pass the WASL, which is the Washington Assessment of Student Learning. So yeah, I feel that tests have become more important in America, but there has been a lot of pushback there. Whereas here, I feel that test taking is very heavily ingrained into the culture, and there's very little disagreement with that practice.